Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're digging into something huge, something that affects pretty much everyone, the big changes happening to the US dollar. We're going to look at what's behind it all and, what it really means for you and your money.
So let's just jump right into the chaos, shall we? When Jerome Powell, the chairman of the Federal Reserve, the guy whose job is basically the dollar, was asked about its recent volatility, this was his really weird, evasive answer. And here's where it gets kind of puzzling, right? Because literally every single dollar bill in your wallet says Federal Reserve Note. That's not just for decoration. It means everything the Fed does, messing with interest rates, printing money, directly hits the dollar's value. Okay, so to really get to the bottom of this mystery, we've got to go back in time a bit. We need to understand the rules of the game, the system that's been running the show for, almost half a century now. You see, for most of its life, the dollar was what you'd call hard money. You could literally walk into a bank and trade your paper dollars for actual gold or silver. But then came 1971. Everything changed. The US completely ditched the gold standard. And boom, a brand new playbook for the entire world's financial system was created overnight. This new setup was called the dollar standard. And the deal was actually pretty simple. The world agreed to sell all its important stuff, think oil, goods, you name it, in US dollars. And then what did they do with all those dollars? Well, they sent them right back to us by buying up American assets like Treasury bonds and stocks. It created this giant circular flow of cash that always came back home.
And let me tell you, this was an amazing deal for the United States. It meant we got a strong dollar, which gave us all this cheap stuff from overseas. It basically let us, as a country, consume way more than we produced. But there was a catch, and it's a big one. The whole system only worked as long as other countries kept buying our debt.
All right, so now for the next piece of the puzzle. Because that foundation, that deal we just talked about, it's starting to get shaky. And the reason why is a huge conflict brewing right here, inside the US. Think of it like this. It's a tale of two Americas. You've got financialized America on one side. This group loves a strong dollar. Why? Because it means cheap imports, and their stocks and bonds go to the moon. Their main export isn't cars or steel, it's dollars and financial paper. Then on the other side, you've got productive America. This group wants to actually make stuff again. And for that to happen, they need a weaker dollar to make their products cheaper for the rest of the world to buy. So you have this massive internal tug of war, right? A battle between Wall Street's interests and Main Street's industrial future. And this conflict, this is a major clue in our mystery. A country just can't be pulled in two completely opposite directions forever. Something's gotta give. And it's not just an American story either. While the US is having this internal battle, the rest of the world is watching. And they're not just sitting on their hands, they're starting to change their own financial game plan. Think about it. For decades, other countries used US dollars as their national piggy bank. They just stuffed it full of US debt. But now, they're looking at that piggy bank and thinking, maybe putting all our eggs in one basket isn't such a great idea. So they're starting to diversify, looking for other places to park their cash. And you don't have to take my word for it. Just look at the data. It's crystal clear. We're seeing demand for US treasuries kind of level off. But at the same time, central banks are buying up physical gold like there's no tomorrow. At record rates. That's not a coincidence. That's a huge, flashing signal that they're hedging their bets. So what's driving all this? Well, it's a few big things all happening at once. First, countries just want to be less dependent on a single currency. Second, you've got players like China building their own payment systems, totally separate from US banks. And third, a big regulatory change actually made gold a much more attractive, high-quality asset for banks to hold. It's like a perfect storm. Okay, let's put it all together. We've got the breakdown of the old 40-year deal, we've got the internal tug-of-war in America, and we've got the rest of the world hedging its bets. So the big question is, what does all this mean for you? For your time, for your money, for your future? To really wrap our heads around this, we have to change how we measure things. Seriously, stop thinking in dollars for a second. Why? Because trying to measure value with the dollar right now is like trying to measure a table with a ruler that's constantly shrinking. It just doesn't work. So for a moment, let's use a different ruler, one that's stayed pretty constant over time. Gold. And check this out, this is where it gets really eye-opening. Back in the late 1960s, if you worked a full 40-hour week on minimum wage, you could take that paycheck and buy about 1.6 ounces of gold. Now, fast forward to today, that same week of work on the federal minimum wage gets you about 0.07 ounces. To earn the same 1.6 ounces of gold today, you'd have to work for 22 weeks. Just let that sink in for a second. It's not that your work is less valuable. It's that the money you're paid in is worth so much less. The ruler is shrinking. That's the silent, sneaky way a debasing currency robs you of the value of your hard work, your time. And this brings us to the most important takeaway of all. During a transition like this, when the currency is losing value, wealth tends to flow towards people who own assets, not people who just rely on a paycheck. Think about it. Real things, like stocks, real estate, commodities, they hold their value, while cash and salaries buy less and less. So what's next? Well, it looks like we're at a fork in the road, with two very different potential paths ahead. Path number one is the inflation path. This is where the currency keeps getting weaker. Your assets, your stocks, they might go up in dollar terms, but your actual purchasing power, what you can buy, just kind of stagnates or even goes down. Path number two, well, that's the deflation path. This is a much sharper, more painful reset where confidence just collapses, capital flees, and asset prices take a nosedive. So no matter which path we go down, it seems this new era favors those who own real assets, not those just holding cash or depending on a salary. And that leaves us with one final, really important question to think about. In this new monetary world, with the old rules getting thrown out the window, who is best prepared?